Are those other publishers going to carry Spider-Man comics? Are they going to carry Hellboy comics? Are they going to carry Something Is Killing the Children? Because that's how you would address it. You don't have these things. You do not have them.
In the Midwest, you know the best is there waiting, so come and join the conversation. Eyes to approved, fan and artist and creator too. This is how the challengers do. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. It gets hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with
Patrick Brower.
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 Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
W. Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Dal.
Dal.
W. Dal Bush.
Now, I know that we've only been in the Podcastitorium for about 2.5 years.
Correct.
But it's my understanding, based off of the Platte Survey and city records, that the building was built in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
So it's still a new building. I mean,
I consider it, yeah.
Challengers itself was built in 2007.
Mm-hmm.
And God knows how many things we've had to replace or work on since then.
The ceiling still leaks.
Yeah, yeah. But it always did. It didn't eventually happen.
Yeah.
We were told by somebody who knows this area that there was a point where this building needed a new roof already.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because it was leaking.
Sure.
It wouldn't affect us, in the
subterranean Podcastitorium.
Yeah, but, our rooftop atrium, that's a concern.
All those pool parties.
So imagine my surprise this weekend. I'm at the Podcastitorium on a Sunday, just tidying up. Sometimes we get a little messy,
as one does. And
in the span of that brief day, the garbage disposal completely fell out from under the sink.
It's like disconnected.
Just completely, just clunk.
Mm-hmm.
The microwave stopped working, and then
To be clear, it stopped heating things.
Yeah, everything else works,
which is the weirdest part.
The clock, the fan, the lights, it'll let you type in like, I want to use 50% power and let's go for, 5 minutes. And it'll go through the motions. It just stopped heating. And then a ceiling fan light combo, the fan cord pulled out entirely from inside the circuitry of the switch itself.
Mm-hmm. The whole mechanism just sort of detached, much like the
just the strand,
much like the
garbage disposal.
Yeah, just like plop.
So the garbage disposal, I will take the tiniest bit of blame for, because I decided, I'm going to clean the microwave because the microwave needs it in our kitchenette. Because how often do we clean the microwave in the kitchenette in the Podcastitorium?
Sure, not often.
So I opened the cabinet under the sink to get some cleaning supplies, only to find a bunch of water down there, which is not something we keep loose.
No, not a lot of loose water in the Podcastitorium's kitchenette.
So in investigating, I saw that it was leaking from where the drain goes to the under counter. So it was running down the side of the garbage disposal. I'm like, that's weird. So I poked the garbage disposal, and then it just fell off.
Uh-huh.
So apparently it had, in its last 2.5 years of uses, and keep in mind, we had to have Dewey come out one time to figure out why it wasn't spinning anymore. Mm-hmm. And he's like, that switch got flipped. So even a professional had worked on it once. It had vibrated out to the point where it was it's hard to explain how it goes in. Like there's little notches that it's got a circular gasket that it goes up into, and then it twists on like a screw, but it just kind of rests there. It doesn't tighten. So it had shaken itself loose from that gasket position and rotated to where it was right at the point where the little notches would fit in. And me poking it just made it go clunk.
Yep.
Now, I was able to fix it, but it took a lot of YouTube videos and cleaning everything out from under the sink, getting under the sink. I'm not very flexible. I'm not a very portable person. So getting it under the sink multiple times to get it fixed, fine, taken care of.
Sure.
I didn't change anything. I just put it back where it's supposed to be.
Great.
And it hasn't leaked since.
Love it.
Hooray. Microwave, lost cause. Had to just get a new one. But to make life easier, ordered the exact same one that was there, so all of the brackets would still be on the wall.
Yeah.
And the installation should have been easier if it wasn't for this one, random screw that was poking out the wrong way, like it was poking in.
Yeah, it's very weird that it was going backwards.
How did it get there?
I do not know.
Is my question. And why was it there?
Yeah, somebody went to the trouble of having that screw go backwards, and I don't get it.
That had to get put there while the cabinets were being installed.
Yeah.
There's no other way to have gotten that there.
It's very weird.
And part of me thought, was it there to brace the venting?
I feel like it might have been, but it's so hard to install that, and there's like 6 other ways you could do the same thing or achieve the same effect easier.
Also, I tested the fan and the vents because I had to foil tape the vents and put everything onto the expandable vent that connects to the, angled flange that goes over the vent on top of the microwave. That all had to be taped down.
Yeah.
And I tested it, and it seemed like it was fine.
Great.
Even patched a little hole that was there that was never patched before. And I hope it's a better seal than it was before. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? So yeah, the microwave we had to install ourselves. Excellent work on Dal Bush.
Did Patrick as well?
Dal did the actual unmounting of the old microwave and the remounting of the new one. I was just the guy holding everything.
That's fine.
And then figuring out that stupid fucking switch, the pull switch for the ceiling fan, it was a 3-speed switch that it was just an $8 part to replace it, but no local hardware store has it in stock. You have to order it.
Yeah.
And none of the wire colors match. I mean, fine, I had a schematic. I was able to say, oh, purple equals blue, orange equals red, yellow equals white for the most part.
Okay.
But I thought I could fix the old one, and I spent way too long on that.
Yeah.
Way too long on that. And also, taking the guts apart for this light system was such this isn't really a pun, but an eye-opening experience because there's no actual bulbs.
Yeah, it's like just an LED thing, sort of.
It was weird. It's also not an incredibly bright light, but it gets the job done. Anyway, the last of those repairs just got finished. The light switch, the fan switch was last night. The microwave was shortly before this.
About half an hour ago.
Yeah. And then I spent a little bit longer than I wanted to yesterday working in the back hallway at the store, helping Emma from Black River Barbershop install a couple of more dog gates in the back because Emma and Izzy bring their dogs to stay with them while they work.
Oliver and Foxy. And they both want to come in the store whenever the back door is open. And our back door is frequently open to get shipping supplies, to take recycling out, to all the things that we need in the back. We've got stuff in the back hallway. Yeah.
And the dogs always run in. So I bought and installed a dog gate that blocks off our shipping supply area, but we still need to get to the trash room.
Right.
And can I say I just finally fixed the bottom bracket of the dog gate last week because it was in such a precarious spot that there was nothing to really drill it into. And those screws, not only were the screws not in anything, no wall anchors that I put in anchored to anything.
Okay.
So the bottom bracket was loose forever.
Yeah.
So I finally just used the really thick double-sided foam tape we have to hold that bottom part in because it's the top bracket that does all the work.
Sure.
But anyway, the barbershop has realized that there's points where they need their dog or dogs not in the barbershop. So they needed to.
Those dogs will bark at everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely everything.
But other people, this blows my mind, brings their dogs with them when they get haircuts. So there's multiple dogs.
I've seen that.
In yeah. I just come from a different time, I guess. So Emma needed help putting in 2 dog gates in the back to be able to basically structure a pen for the dogs in the back hallway behind sidekicks. And because I've installed one before, she asked if I could. Basically, she came over to ask if she could borrow a drill, knowing that she's never used a drill before, but hoping that I would say,
I'll do it for you. And you did.
I did, but I made her do half of it
Uh-huh.
because my hips are bad, man,
Sure.
and my back hurts all the
Then
time.
it's a good skill to learn.
And I don't want to get down to the ground level to do all the bottom
Sure.
mounting of the brackets. So she did all of the bottom pieces under my close supervision.
Okay.
We got it done, but it still took me like an hour away from the store.
Sure.
What a week of construction! What a week of building and
It's
rebuilding,
true,
and
it's
just making like not even building, just fixing things that break.
Yeah.
I think that's the reason I'm bringing all this up is, I mean, A, it directly affects the Podcastitorium, but
Oh,
I mean,
I was thinking B, it kills 10 minutes of the podcast.
but ultimately it just is a metaphor for the comics industry. We're just always trying to fix what's broken.
How's that going?
I wouldn't know. This week I made a mistake I've never made before. And no, it's not doing this podcast.
Oh, you make that mistake every week.
So every month when Previews comes out, I look at the due date and I mark it on the calendar.
Mm-hmm.
And Previews, Diamond's ordering system, is due next Thursday.
Which is the 29th.
Yeah. It's a 5-week Thursday.
I guess, yeah.
So no, like there's a couple of
1st,
times.
8th, 15th, 22nd, 29th.
There you go.
5 of them.
There's
1, 2, 3,
a
4, 5.
few months, I think twice in the year, we get like a 5-week order window as opposed to 4.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I know there's been a little bit of a delay in the sense of, like, I think the catalogs are all coming out on the 28th. The PRH catalogs, that's Marvel, IDW, and all the PRH stuff, have not even been posted on their website, despite, like, the DC Image Lunar stuff all getting posted a week ago.
Yeah. Yep.
So I guess, I mean, that's with the 5 Thursdays, you're kind of getting that little bit of a discrepancy there.
You know, you say the catalogs all come out on the 28th, not Previews.
No. Well, we'll see if Previews ever comes out again.
There's several, like, the order form is on the catalog, but not, it's on the invoice, excuse me, but the catalog isn't.
Right.
And most people have said that's the exact same occurrence for them. They're getting the order book, but not the catalog. One person is getting a copy of the catalog.
Interesting.
That's listed on the invoice. Doesn't mean they're actually getting it. But the people that work on previews say that they are hard at work on the July previews already.
Okay, great.
So who knows? You surmise that it's possible that Ad Populum doesn't realize there is a previews division. They just haven't gotten around to shutting it down yet.
Why they haven't fired them yet. Yeah, there's been a lot of discussion over the last week about Ad Populum's ownership of Diamond and kind of what that means. I think last week, after we'd recorded the podcast, my mom was in town.
Hold on. We're not there yet. We were talking about this mistake I made.
Oh, okay.
And they're just bringing up previews to get into that.
Okay.
We do have a whole section on that. Don't worry.
Okay.
With a big quote. But the mistake.
Actually, we were just leading into that section.
I haven't mentioned the mistake yet.
Okay.
The previews orders are due when? A week from now.
29th.
Yeah, a week from when we're recording. So that means I've done nothing, but we'll start probably tomorrow.
Okay, sure.
And do it
the
over
23rd.
do it slowly over the next several days.
Sure.
And that includes all the ordering except the PRH catalogs, because we don't do advance orders, initial orders, and preview or PRH. We just do FOC ordering.
Right.
So this would be the weekend I would start doing everything for Lunar and everything for Diamond. Lunar was due today.
Yeah.
Lunar is due today.
The 22nd.
A separate date from Diamond. And I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it was weird because you had sort of yesterday, Wednesday at the store, middle of the day, you had just randomly blurted out, Lunar's due tomorrow. And I thought you meant like the new Lunar shipment was coming in Thursday.
Yeah.
Which would be great, but also bad because this Thursday, Molly's by herself. Stella is out. And we were already scheduled to get the PRH shipment in for the week, which was very large. So the idea
Mostly
of Molly
they
having
never
to get PRH and Lunar at the same time would be terrible, which I could understand was like the reason for your reaction of like, oh no, this is bad news. And then it was like, no, it was different bad news.
Yeah.
Completely different bad news.
I blurted it out because Lunar always sends an email saying, hey, don't forget, initial orders are due tomorrow. And I had forgotten. I had absolutely no idea that they were due because as far as I can recall, this is the first time they've had a split due date.
You mean like Lunar's been separate from where Diamond is?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you had mentioned it, and I don't ever do initial orders, so I don't even think about it. I have no idea when anything's due because I just do regular Monday FOCs. So my only awareness is like, does someone not have FOCs this week because of the holiday or whatever? And it seems like this week, I don't think anyone's skipping FOCs because of Memorial Day. I think they're all still up as normal. I know Image has stuff, so I assume that DC does as well. And I don't think Penguin Random House has ever skipped a week because of the holiday.
Do they ever double up ahead of time?
Sometimes publishers will double up, but not like as a distribution level rule. It's just like Marvel will have multiple weeks of FOCs happening at the same time because of like holiday printing schedules.
Sure.
Not because of like a federal holiday that's happening the day of the FOC.
Well, yeah. You just said, skip it.
Yeah,
Because
basically.
everything that Lunar offers is available for FOC.
Yeah.
Everything that they...
Otherwise, like, we had, errands we had to run after the store closed, and then it was also AEW Dynamite. So, like, you'd have to skip all of that just to do Lunar stuff.
You pronounce Dynamite very weird.
Dynamite. Tony Storm hosts AEW Dynamite. The rest of us just watch AEW Dynamite. And it just felt like you could rush through all of that Lunar stuff and try and cram it into one night. But it's like, it's not crucial. Like, it's nice for me to have
a
like
guidepost.
Yeah, well, to have just like a floor of what you think we should order for different new series that we can then go up from based on incoming pre-orders. But like, we'll do all of it on FOC. Lunar doesn't have anything that is initial order only. Like, Penguin Random House has some stuff, and it's frustrating to me that they don't FOC, it's just initial order.
Huh.
But Lunar doesn't. Doesn't matter. This month can have Lunar skipped. It's not a big deal.
Well, next month might as well.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see.
Oh, we'll see, all right.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, you might not have to do a Diamond initial order next month either.
Yeah, who knows? Because, as I was saying before, last weekend...
Yeah, we recorded early on Thursday. My mom was in town. I mentioned it. Happy birthday, Mom. It was this past Sunday. And
happy 80th. Diane.
Happy 80th birthday, Diane. I hope she had a good time. There's a quick digression. I would consider the 3 days she was in town to be nice weather days in Chicago based on what we personally experienced, because all of the abnormal weather conditions like flash thunderstorms, dust storms, whatever, like Hellmouth might have opened on Saturday, we never saw any of it. We were inside during like the dust storm and the rainstorm, and like whenever we were outside going someplace, it was like generally clear skies, pretty warm. It was nice. But we had recorded on Thursday, and Friday was the, I think, first day of Ad Populum owning Diamond. That was the papers have been signed.
Yeah.
Here's the keys.
Yep.
You own it, which meant a bunch of people got fired. Chris Powell, most prominently. Chris Powell, who was more or less the retailer-facing person at Diamond. He'd been there for years. He had come from Lone Star Comics and MyComicShop.com.
In Texas.
And had been kind of the point of contact for retailers at Diamond. He was the main guy you would talk to.
Can I just say how thankless of a job that must be?
It really was. He was the guy that would frequently be at retailer summits and at conventions. And
he was the face of the company for every retailer complaint.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I'm sure a lot of retailers have, their own independent stories of how they've interacted with Diamond over the history of their company. But for challengers, every time I would see Chris Powell at something, he was always upbeat. He was always pleasant. He was always polite. He was always professional.
He was wearing a tiki shirt.
He was always wearing a tiki shirt. But yeah, for whatever he might have been doing behind the scenes or for whatever policies at Diamond he may or may not have been responsible for or responsible for enforcing, I found him to be a professional guy, and I am sorry to see him go, and I hope wherever he lands next, he is taken care of, and he is at some place that can find him useful. Yeah, but a bunch of other people were also let go, less on the making a public statement afterwards, and more on the we're hearing a lot of reports of, including
the entire Comic Suite team.
Yeah, that's a super weird thing to happen. All the Comic Suite support team is gone, which means while Comic Suite and PRH work now, that may not be so much true in the future, nor will they necessarily get the support they need normally to get all the data correct.
RMH.
What did I say? PRH?
PRH.
Yeah, okay. RMH, yeah.
You're right, though. PRH does work normally.
It does work normally, and it probably won't work normally with RMH for very much longer. Gentle Giant, I think, is all gone. That was one of the toy divisions at Diamond. Diamond Select Toys, shut down, done. There's an interesting editorial today from Heidi McDonald at The Beat that I recommend people reading, because I think it's the thing that a lot of us in the industry were thinking about over the last week, which is how disappointing it is to not get any information from Diamond about what they're doing. It's still Diamond as a company name, so I'm going to call it that.
Yep.
But Ad Populum's ownership has led to a lot of people getting thrown overboard, a lot of pieces of the company seemingly not going to be there for much longer, and yet we don't know what any of this means. It's hilarious that Alliance Entertainment, that briefly looked like they were going to own it, immediately went on a podcast and is like, here's who we are, here's what we're planning to do, here's why we wanted to buy the company, here's where we think we can take it, here's where we think it fits in with the collectibles landscape of, the 2020s. Meanwhile, Ad Populum actually legally owns it, like completed transaction, and yet there's only been the most vague, like, we have new owners statement. Like, what are you planning to do? What is this turning into? Are any of our orders going to get filled? Just yesterday, Penguin Random House sent out a post saying, hey, basically starting next week, Diamond will not be wholesaling Penguin Random House publishers. That's Marvel, that's Boom, that's IDW, that's Dark Horse. This is all stuff that's in the previews catalog. It's probably going to be coming out like next week. And PRH is the one saying you cannot get it from them anymore.
Dal, Penguin Random House would like to thank Diamond for their partnership and contributions to the marketplace.
Yeah. Penguin Random House's post on this was, curt but professional. It was basically saying, like, here's the reality. You need this information. Diamond, like, later that day, or maybe, I think it was later that day, had a real snarky, like, thanks for nothing kind of post. And it's like, the dumbest part in it, and Heidi, frankly, thankfully brought this up in her editorial, is there's a line where it's like, we're working with other publishers to address this. And it's like, are those other publishers going to carry Spider-Man comics? Are they going to carry Hellboy comics? Are they going to carry Something Is Killing the Children? Because that's how you would address it. You don't have these things. You do not have them. And that's on top of, like, just the basic thought of, like, okay, well, what if you order Diamond Select stuff that was solicited but hadn't released yet? I assume that stuff is not coming out because you fired everybody.
Yeah.
What does this mean for everything else? Do you still have accounts with Hasbro, with Mattel, with every other comics publisher that you still had in your catalog? Like, is any of this stuff that we're ordering going to get filled? Because that has been the overriding narrative with Diamond for the last 8 months, is a complete uncertainty as to whether what they're soliciting and taking orders for is stuff they can actually get for you. Which, as a trickle-down thing, really sucks, because that means we're taking orders from our customers that we may not be able to fill.
Sure.
Because Diamond will eventually say, like, oh no, we can't. We told you we could get Wizard of the Coast products. That was just a lie. Naive fools. So that element of it has been the most frustrating over the past week, is information kind of leaking out from Diamond about what's going on, but no coherent narrative as to what all of this means or what it's for. Are they just firing people? For what? Who gets to stay? What is this company supposed to look like? People have a bunch of theories based on who bought what and kind of where it's all going, but no one knows anything, and it's been a week. And again, these are the actual owners now. It's one thing to say, like, well, we can't really speculate on what we're going to do because we don't own the company yet. We don't have all the information. But this is like, you own it. You immediately started firing people. To what end?
What an uncertain time. And a very selfish point of this is that I have a lot of gifts for people that I've ordered from previews that I may now never get.
Yeah. And I mean, also selfishly, I think we've mentioned this over the last few months, at least once or twice. There's stuff I ordered for me that I'm like, is that going to get filled now or not? Do I need to source it somewhere else? And again, this is how I would assume a lot of our customers would feel, as will they or will they not get the things that they ordered on time through us, because Diamond just can't do it, won't do it. I don't know which one.
Can't, won't, doesn't want to, doesn't care about you. Any one of those.
Yeah.
Could be all those things. Who knows?
Maybe. Yeah, the Diamond situation, increasingly is getting to be a constant frustration. Like it vacillates a lot in previous months. Sometimes it's just like, oh, this is just a shitty company. And sometimes it's, oh, this is a super shitty company. But now it's just pretty much locked in at super shitty.
Think about it from the perspective of managed comics. Don't they get a considerable amount of data from Diamond?
Yeah, I think I mentioned that in a previous episode. Just if Diamond and previews were to go away, that is a warehouse of a lot of data for a lot of smaller publishers that I don't know where you get that information from. I don't know that everybody lands at Lunar and Penguin Random House.
Yeah.
I've mentioned it before. Like now Scholastic has signed a deal with Lunar initially just to do some backorder stuff. Like I think they're getting Dogman volumes and some other stuff, but hopefully in the very near future, they'll start carrying new products so we can pre-order stuff from Scholastic through Lunar. But that was a company where, if Lunar just if Scholastic didn't have a presence through a direct market facing distributor wholesaler, how would Managed Comics get that data? There's stuff that we get from companies like Simon & Schuster, Hachette, Ingram. Ingram's just a wholesaler, but we get it through them, that we have to input manually into Managed Comics because it's just stuff that none of the direct market distributors have ever carried. Tiger Tuffy that we just got in.
Yeah.
It's a kid's book. You could call it a graphic novel. It's just a kid's book, illustrated children's book. But that was never listed through previews. It's not a publisher that's carried by Lunar or Penguin Random House. So I had to manually
Physically
enter all that data. I don't want to have to do that for 20, 30 books a month, which I might have to if Diamond stops being a reliable database of stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is a solution to that is economically feasible for a small company like Managed Comics, who kind of depends on that data largely being available for free to be useful to point of sale systems rather than having to pay a shit ton of money to get access to a database that maybe very few retailers would actually use and certainly don't want to pay an additional amount to get.
It's the situation where Managed Comics has to reach out to other publishers and distributors to like Simon & Schuster and say, hey, this is what we do. We need this data. But coming from them, it's mercenary or business-like. But if it comes from us saying, hey, Simon & Schuster, you really need to work with a company like Managed Comics to give them the data so we have the ability to order more of your product.
Right.
Where they see the benefit of it being a customer-facing, which is us.
Yeah, honestly, I don't know how a lot of book trade point-of-sale systems work. I don't know if those companies are paying monthly fees to all of these wholesalers or distributors to get access to their content, which is why the assumption is, well, your industry should do it too. And we're just not used to that. Again, we're used to having APIs that can access stuff through, different databases and refresh stuff and all that stuff. That's gratis. That's just like, here's just a thing. You can do this. Maybe that's not how it works in the book trade. Maybe it's something where you have to pay a monthly fee to these 5 different companies. So your point of sale system costs exponentially more.
Yeah. It's always, to me, like the same kind of shock in a sports card memorabilia convention, which I've never gone to. But when you go to one of those and you're going to get something signed, you are paying to get it signed. You are paying to meet the sports professional. It's all a transaction. But in the comics industry, we don't see it like that.
I think we do now that more celebrities have been doing comic conventions. I think there's more of a sense of like, oh, it's not unusual to pay somebody to get something signed. And I think with the advent of scalpers being a more permanent part of the process, what I don't think, I would argue that wasn't as much of a thing in like the 80s and 90s, but in the 2000s, so many different artists thankfully have this thing where it's like, if you want a signature, it's like $5 or $10. If you want a personalized signature, it's free.
Yeah.
Which is, I think, the best way to do it, because it's like, look, if you're telling me you're a fan and this is for you, I want to support that. If you just want a book signed so you can flip it, I should get a cut of that.
Yep, that's fair. Or I respect the creators that are like, yeah, it's $5, but that all goes to the Hero Initiative or wherever.
Sure. I think that was the way people were initially doing it. I don't think it's necessary to do it for charity. I think it's okay.
But again, I respect that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Anyone who's willing to do that, who's willing to do that for charity is great. But like, for artists who pay money to be at shows essentially, that are not getting flown out, that are not getting put up, like they have to make money at the show to make it worth their time to go. And so, yeah, I mean, if they're seeing a lot of people that are just getting books signed so that they can make a profit on them, the artist should get a cut of that for sure. They're the ones making it more valuable.
And we've mentioned this comparison before as well, but when you go to a book signing at a bookstore, you're required to buy the book.
Mm-hmm.
It's not expected they have to buy the book when you go to a comic signing, and oftentimes people will push back because they brought their own book, or they already had their book, or
Right.
whatever. We try to do signings in that regard as close to the release of the book as possible, so people wouldn't already have it. But we had the Blades of Furry signing last week, and there was still at least one person that brought a copy in,
Sure.
even though we were technically the official launch signing for it.
Yeah. I like the way we do the signings now, where it's, instead of trying to do it on the release day, which you never know what the traffic's going to be like and who the audience is going to be. I like the idea of book comes out on Wednesday, signings on Saturday.
Yeah.
So that gives people a chance to come in Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to pick up the book, read it, and then come back on Saturday to meet the writer, artist, what have you.
We say it like that, but that almost never happens.
Oh, I also
People
wanted to
just
say
wait.
that I like it because I don't work those days.
Yeah, that's fair. For Blades of Furry, we had both Emily and Dea, the creators of the writers and artists of the book, together. And because it was an ice skating book, we wanted to do some sort of cold treat tie-in. And one of them, I think Emily had suggested snow cones.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, well, there's a snow cone place right across the street from us.
As it turns out.
So I went over to Ava's Italian Ice a couple weeks ago and said, is there any way we could get like 50 of your like little tester scoops to have for this event? And they said, well, we just started doing freeze pops. Like, oh, well, that's way easier to deal with.
Yeah.
Frozen treats, naturally made fruit flavored frozen treats. And we ordered 50 of them, whatever flavors they wanted to make. They dropped them off Saturday morning, and I brought an insulated bag from my home, a Trader Joe's insulated bag, expecting to have these behind the counter insulated. They brought an Ava's insulated bag and said, keep the bag.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
How nice.
And they were strawberry, lemon, and mango.
That sounds delicious.
And we were kind of expecting it to be a huge crowd because there was supposed to be a launch day event at Anderson's bookstore in Naperville on that Tuesday, and it wound up not happening. So we were the official launch event.
Right.
So I thought, oh man, all the people that would have gone to that would come to this. So we knew we had 50 freeze pops.
Mm-hmm.
So we're like, all right, you buy a book, you get a freeze pop. That's
Sure.
the way it works.
That seems totally fair.
We have extra freeze pops.
Oh, no.
They're in the freezer in the back hallway at the store.
Okay.
But there were people like, oh, can I get one for my friend? And Donovan's like, I'm sorry, it's one per purchase. Like, I'm so glad you're A, enforcing that rule, and B, but doing it so politely, no one could get mad at you.
Yep. Cheerful.
Yeah. And then we also gave Emily and Dea a bag full to take home.
That's cool.
Yeah. The signing went okay.
Okay.
Well, not great.
Yeah.
A lot of people showed up, but I got overexcited when I heard that the Andersons event had been canceled. So I double ordered our order.
Yep.
And that was unnecessary. The initial order would have been great.
Yeah.
If we just stuck with that, super happy.
Yeah.
But I mean,
you never know, though. And I think it's I'd rather gamble on we got too many than risk having too few.
Yeah, you look at Lucy Knisley's Woe event from last year.
Mm-hmm.
We could have sold like 25 more copies.
Probably.
We ran out because we did not sell anywhere near that for her previous book, Ride With Me.
Yep. But those still sell.
Sure.
We
And also those were
sold one a couple days ago.
two very different audiences.
Yeah, that was the thing.
And her next book, which we're doing an event for in August, is kind of like split the audience of those.
Yeah.
So it's not as surefire as Woe was. But we have a small gimmick for that one as well.
Neat.
I like having gimmicks for signings, a little
Sure.
extra. I feel a little bit bad when we don't have something like that,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also hard to do for everyone.
Yeah, sometimes they just naturally lend themselves to it. Sometimes they do not.
Dea had done the book of The Princess and the Grilled Cheese Sandwich, and I had commented that had we been the store to do an event for that,
Mhm.
there's so many grilled cheese places around us.
They really are.
We could have easily gotten a bunch of grilled cheese sandwiches, but cut them up in little pieces to make.
Yeah, it would be like little like finger food style
Yeah.
ones.
But also that'd probably be really expensive, so I'm glad we didn't do it.
Yeah.
We did pay for the freeze pops from Ava's, but they were very kind to us.
Yeah.
And
they were not free, though.
They were not.
I saw that receipt.
Yeah. And in the beginning, I was really keen to make sure I was promoting them equally in their involvement of it.
Mhm.
But as we got closer, I'm like, well, they're not just giving us these for promotion, nor should they.
Right.
So I'm not like as worried about tagging them. Like I still mention them, but linking everything and I still did it. And I put them on the flyer and all that kind of stuff.
I saw.
I want them to be happy with their involvement in this situation. But
Right.
I also hope, because
they were.
most of them had little Ava stickers, and we'd say to everybody, we got these from Ava's just across the street,
Mhm.
like on the other side of the street, a little
Sure.
down the block a little bit. So hopefully it got some people to try them out as well. It's the kind of thing where you want to see like the community come together and things that benefit everybody equally. That's part of the goal, but also getting really good books in the hands of really devoted fans.
Yep. And we still have copies of Blades of Furry, hardcover and softcover.
Signed copies.
Signed and sketched by the creators.
And a lot of them have sticker packets hidden inside.
Right.
They adhered a bunch of sticker packets in random copies they signed.
Oh, neat.
Here's a hint. It's all of the hardcovers we have.
Okay.
So thank you to Emily and Dave for coming out for that. And they've already asked if they can come back for Volume 2.
Nice.
I like it when the creators have a good enough time that they want to come back.
That's cool. That is ideal.
Yeah. Because you can never tell. Like, for the most part, they're on their own.
Yeah.
I'll run over and be like, do you need water? Are you good?
Right.
But I'm not.
You're not there at the table with
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
I'm not seeing how it goes in. But as far as making sure people get something extra at Challengers, Dal, what is today?
Thursday, May 27th.
What's happening in your life?
Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning Day.
And what did we get at the store this week?
We got a whole pile of Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning merchandise to give away.
We often get approached by marketing firms for movies to do cross promotion.
And TV shows.
And a lot of times it's like screenings are doing downtown where it's first come, first serve. Like, here's digital tickets.
Yeah, here's GoFobo ticket codes that you can give out. It's like, I don't want to do that.
But it's also no guarantee you're going to get there.
Right.
It's not.
It is not a ticket to the movie. It is a chance to stand in line for a free screening that you may or may not be allowed into, depending on what time you get there.
And they're always like, well, we can get you guys in. Like, we don't care.
Yeah. And
a
lot of
work till a certain point.
Yeah. Usually the times don't work out. And frequently it's like, it's 2 days before I was just going to go see it.
Yeah.
I can wait the 2 days and just go to the theater when I have time instead of rushing to River East after the store closes to be in the most crowded screening you will ever be in for your entire life.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
And sometimes they give us swag. There's a lot of...
Which I much prefer. Again, like the giving out
sure.
digital codes and stuff, I don't care, and I don't think it does a lot. But if you want us to give out merchandise to promote your film, I'll almost always say yes. If it's a movie I'm aware of that I think that people would like.
So long as it's a tie-in to the store that we could somehow justify, or it's a movie that Dow's really looking forward to.
Mm-hmm. In this case, it was both.
Happy to give out posters for any of their movies, shows, whatever.
Yeah. I don't usually care about the posters, but people always do.
Yeah.
People always want the little posters.
And I personally would prefer if whatever thing they're giving out was just one thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, it's all branded coasters. Fine.
Sure.
The Mission Impossible box was kind of insane.
Huge to start with. It was a big box. Opened it up, and it was filled with so many different things. There was a folder of 11 by 17 movie posters. It is Ethan Hunt hanging off of the wing of a biplane as it's screaming through the sky, which will probably be the definitive stunt sequence of this film. Then they also included what I thought were t-shirts. But then when we unpacked the box, found out they were not t-shirts. They were very plush, 80% cotton hoodies, pullover hoodies, or jumpers if you prefer, that were black with black print that says Tom Cruise, Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning, in a variety of sizes, small to XL. Usually when we get like t-shirts and stuff from companies, it's not a variety of sizes. It's usually like 1 or 2 sizes. It's basically like medium and double XL, and that's kind of it. It's like, okay. They also included koozies that have the Mission Impossible, The Final Reckoning branding on them. Black IMF hats that have the Impossible Mission Force logo that you almost never see in the movies because they're a spy organization that even the federal government doesn't know exists for the most part.
Branding is not what they would want to focus on.
Yeah. But it's a pretty cool hat. It's got, again, it's a black hat with the black IMF logo and a little red and black Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning tag on the side. Pens, a bunch of red Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning branded spy pens.
But they're not just pens. The cap is a stylus.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's a pen. Then if you pull the ink part out, there's a reversible tiny screwdriver.
Yep.
The very top of it is a compass. And if you flip the compass up, inside is a flashlight.
Yeah. This is all one pen that we've just described.
Yeah.
The next two things were the weirdest two things in that the packaging they were in wasn't branded in any way. The first was a mobile power bank, contactless mobile power bank. So basically you would charge this thing, and then if you were out in the wild and your phone ran out of juice, you could just rest your phone on it and it would wirelessly charge. The charger itself did have Tom Cruise Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning branding on it, but the box was just like
a black box.
A black box with a little schematic
drawing,
of what it looks like and regulatory information on the back. But the absolute weirdest thing, that we would say what it was, because the box was just a white box. It's made in China on it. You open it up and there's a little, like,
and it's
rubber eraser size.
Yeah, like 2.5 inches by 1 inch by a third of an inch, half an inch.
A little black box that had the Tom Cruise Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning branding on it. And on the back, it just said wireless audio transmitter. And then again, regulatory information, power voltage, things like that. And then there was a switch on one side that went between 3 different positions, like RX, TX, and off. There was also a tiny auxiliary cable and a tiny USB cable. That's it. No information about how it works, what it's supposed to do, who made it. So we would just tell people it's a wireless audio transmitter. And they're like, what is that? And for 3 hours, we're like, no idea. You can take it and you can use it. And you can tell us what it is.
Tell us what it is.
Our mail carrier actually had the best suggestion as to what it probably is, which is basically a way to wirelessly, like you would plug the auxiliary cable into an auxiliary jack on like your car stereo. And then you would plug the wireless audio transmitter into the other end of the cable. And then you turn it on and you would be able to then stream music from your phone using Bluetooth to the wireless audio transmitter into this car stereo, which is, it sounds reasonable, but doesn't like every car stereo have Bluetooth now? Like unless you're traveling back to like the 1990s, maybe it would work then. And if you're doing that, I think the ability to stream music over your iPhone to a car in the 1990s is probably the least of your concerns if you're time traveling. Maybe if it happened accidentally, maybe then. So if anyone picked up the wireless audio transmitter with Tom Cruise Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning branding on it and have used it, let us know what you used it on. And if you're listening to this and you haven't picked one up, come into the store. We probably still have them. They gave us a ton. Most people didn't take it because they don't know what it is. Take one, figure out what it would be used for. Like, there's a QR code on the back that we followed to the instruction manual.
That did not help.
Yeah, that basically tells you here is what each button means and here is how, like, but like the why of it. The use case is not in the tiny instruction manual PDF at all. So anyway, they sent us all that stuff. It was pretty great. We sent a bunch of photos back to the marketing company. Maybe they will send us more stuff for other things down the line.
It was a little bit awkward because almost everybody in the beginning chose the hoodie.
I don't blame them.
Sure, but it's like, we need pictures of people taking other things.
Yeah. Which we eventually had. Some people took posters. We took pictures of that. Yeah, next time I would say, like, maybe don't send, like, the weird tech crap. Although, the power bank makes a lot of sense. I don't know how effective it is. I don't imagine any of the, like, electronics we got are high-end at all. But, like, I think most people, if they're going on a trip somewhere, will bring, a power bank for their devices. Especially a wireless one. That's great.
I have a power bank that travels with me when I'm going places where I think I may need extra power.
Sure.
Can you tell me what shape and or design it is?
Was it a TARDIS?
No, but that's an excellent guess.
Thank you. Is it a Taskmaster bust?
No.
Is it a Captain America shield?
It's a Captain America shield.
Okay.
It was a gift from my brother.
That's very cool.
Yeah. Now, if they sold replica Taskmaster trophies, smaller size, different, like instead of gold, silver, I would own one.
Do they not sell a basic replica?
They do
one?
not.
Weird. I guess
Because
you got to go on the show and
You
win
got
it.
to earn it. Yeah, it's prestige.
Wow, it is prestigious. That's true.
Yeah, even though it's such an old sculpt that Greg doesn't have facial hair on it and doesn't have glasses.
Do you think they'll eventually do a new one, or is it so ingrained that it's
I think it's so ingrained. It's
Yeah.
that one. Yeah, but even other countries where Shopify billing from today, that's never a fun surprise. If only there was a way to anticipate it or know when it was coming. No, it just happens. Hooray. Like other hosts that have always worn glasses that don't have glasses on their
No.
bust. Yeah.
Maybe they can add some sort of like upgrade kit to your previous Taskmaster busts,
Sure.
where you can
Like put on,
like
old facial hair
a
and-
beard or a wig or glasses or whatever,
sure.
so it can be more representative of modern day Greg Davies.
Season 19 is very fun so far.
Yeah, the Jason Mantzoukas season.
Yes. Yes, he is an agent of chaos and he's not there to win, he's there to destroy.
Okay, that sounds like an American.
That's what you get when you get your first your first United States competitor. They've had North American competitors before.
Sure.
It's not from the States. Anyway, that is Taskmaster. That is not comic related.
Taskmaster's some comics.
Well, one of them is. However, our personal schedules are full today, so unfortunately, this is a briefer episode.
Oh, I guess so.
So we will have to move on.
Okay.
Unless you have anything quickly to impart.
I don't know that
I
I do. I didn't even plan on talking about the Mission Impossible merchandise.
I did. I had it written down
You
over
got
there.
it written down right
Says
there. There it is.
MI8 swag
Found it.
in 2 points. In 2 points. Well, I mean, the biggest thing of the week is a thing that there's nothing to talk about, which was just Ad Populum taking
Yeah,
over for
that's
real,
true.
and no one knowing. We already talked about this.
Yeah, again, just super frustrating that there has not been much in the way of like promotion from Ad Populum as to like the lowest hanging fruit of this sort of thing is like, hi, we're the new owners. Everything's going to be great. We're awesome. You're in good hands. Doesn't even have to be true, and it frequently isn't. But like, you didn't even do that.
No, you're not even trying to assuage any fears because
No.
you don't care.
Why did you buy it then?
Yeah, fair.
Like, you weirdly fought to buy it. Like, it's fine if you're gonna, I shouldn't say fine. It's a normal consequence of these things to, tear everything out by the studs and rebuild something else. I get it. Say that. Say that's what you're doing.
That's what we're doing. Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. And help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.